All right, Brian Todd, thank you so much for that. Analysis now from Estevão Lamana, our CNN Brazil correspondent, and from CNN safety analyst and former FAA safety inspector David Susi. Estevão, if you can hear me, describe what it's like near the scene tonight. Is it still the case that no one on the ground was injured?
Exactly. Good evening, John. I'm here in front of this residence where the plane crashed this afternoon here in Viedo, São Paulo, Brazil. The authorities didn't allow us to enter and see close the wreckage of the plane. But we are here seeing the work of police officers and two army. What I can say is that I can feel in the neighborhood some great sadness and patience on his faces. This is an accident that, according to the fire department, all the victims of this accident were in the plane. No one was hit in the ground. No one was hit in the house. All the information that we have is that 61 people died in the plane.
All right, Stavo, thank you so much for that. David, I know you often say that, quote, planes don't just fall out of the sky, but this video that we've seen, it looks like this one sort of did. What do you know about this type of aircraft, and what does the publicly available flight data tell you so far?
Well, John, some of the things that you look at, this aircraft has sort of a checkered past, if you will, about icing and about some propeller things that have happened to it, about trying to get the propeller back to where it's supposed to be. But the profile here, the flight profile and how it went up and then down and then ended up in this flat spin, it doesn't fit any of those scenarios perfectly. But the icing is really suspect to me because that would have added so much weight to the aircraft. The ice just continues to build in those on the wings and the propellers and everything, and it just gets so heavy that it literally starts to fall and stall out of the air.
So
I think that's where we're looking at this point.
It is winter in Brazil right now, obviously in the southern hemisphere.
Yes.
Can you explain the difference between anti-icing and de-icing, and why you think that may have caused a problem here?
That's a great question, and we've seen it before. But anti-icing, there's three phases of icing. There's no icing, there's potential icing, and then there's icing conditions. When you're in potential icing, you turn on anti-icing. And what that does is, as the droplets of water hit the front of the wing, it adds some heat and allows that water to continue over without icing. That's anti-icing. Now, in de-icing, when you've actually started to accumulate ice, it's really critical that you watch that and look at the wing and see. You have to let it build up to a certain level, and then you turn de-icing on, and that inflates and cracks away that ice. If you turn the de-icing on too soon, then it inflates already and the ice builds on top of the inflation. And then at that point, your de-icing doesn't work anymore at all. And it continues to build and build and build. And again, we don't know what caused this, but based on the flight profile and how it entered that flat spin, I think this is the most likely thing in my experience.
So obviously, this type of aircraft is not flown by major U.S. airlines, but are there takeaways that the U.S. carriers should take from that here?
Yeah, again, it's non-conclusive at this point, but icing has been something that needs to be and is trained from day one about airplanes. Just because it's 60 degrees on the ground does not mean it's that up in the air. And in fact, in this day, it was way sub-zero at the 14 to 17,000 range and 100% humidity. So you can imagine what that does when there's small droplets of water ready to freeze and ready to grab onto whatever it can. So that's something that we study and make sure we make known. But this is a harsh, graphic, tragic reminder of that, if that is indeed what happened.
Well, David Susi, I do really appreciate you helping us understand what we are seeing in Brazil tonight. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, John.
Nice.